take a guess. So in 2022, the whole year of 2022, how much money do you think KW Cares donated in grants and disaster relief?
3.2 million.
3.2? Well, once again.
Clearly I didn't win.
No, this is just take a guess.
You wrote it
Total KW Cares donations last year, 2022.
million.
1 million?
Yeah, 1 million.
1 million? Anybody else? Want to take a guess?
2 million.
2 million? Anybody
3.8.
else? 3.8.
Hold on, Gabe.
3.6.
Wade's looking at it.
Wait,
4.6.
4.6?
5.1.
5.1.
Come on.
I'm expecting to get really numbers.
I'm with Josh.
Okay.
I think
He keeps
it's
changing
closer to
his
10.
answer keeps updating.
What's your answer? 3.8? You said 3.8.
You
You
just
said
said
4.
yes.
You said 4. $6.4 million.
I was close. I said
Keller
5.8.
Williams donated in his disaster reliefs. And over since 2003, we've donated over $60 million. But what I think was so cool is in 2022, $6.4 million what we donated. And that's more than the whole what did Rheology just rebrand to? You know, the Rheology umbrella with Coldwell, Remax, all those Rheology, whatever, same whatever. We donated as an individual company more than all of those companies did combined last year. So I think that was so cool, such a cool story to tell. So who won? You won. So you get the KW stress ball. I almost knocked it. So
This year for Katrina, we donated more just KW in Katrina's disaster than all of NAR.
all of NAR.
All of NAR.
Mhm. Yeah,
That was
I mean,
5.3 million.
the core and the culture of this company, I think is just absolutely incredible. And the differences that we're making in not only like our agent side, but also in our communities, like I think that's really what we're here for. So,
And I even like, I don't know if you made this statement, you guys could help by putting, even if you do it $5 per check, you guys can help so much in, you can do it if you want to do it nationally, or you can do it in our office. There's two green. Yeah, so you guys.
it's a green sheet.
I know, but you guys can help that way. And there is a handful of us agents that do that, but if we can have even everybody commit to $2, that would make so much.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, thank you. And I'm actually working on getting our local offices KW Cares account 501c3 certified. So then you can consider it all a write-off. But that's what I want to do too, is really make an impact here locally. If there's agents here in our office that are in need. Also for Red Day, our big volunteer day, I want to make sure that we have plenty of funds to really help the communities too. So anyway, I thought that was a really cool story that I want to share with you guys. So, okay. Let's start with wants and needs. Let's brag. What do you guys have going on? What business do you have? Listings coming
I want
up?
more listings, that's
You want more listings? Oh,
My West.
Feel free to send them to me.
West Point?
Yep.
Am I here? Tell us about it.
It is, but it's been a minute since we've been there. 5 bedrooms, 3 bath. Sorry, 3 bath. It's really
Super cute.
Super. Yeah. Anyway, cute neighborhood. And I believe the price, we haven't set that yet, but I believe it's gonna be $460. So.
Okay. Yes.
I have one coming up in Roy. It's a 4-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom. Seller willing to replace the roof before closing. And it's looking at about 350.
And it's not an older home, it's what, 94 or so? That could
What
be
did
a
you say,
great-
350? 350?
That could be a great investment.
Alright.
So nice.
Okay. Yes.
In Kaysville, actually, both of these are really nice communities in Kaysville and in Syracuse. The Kaysville one is gonna be is $725. And it's a 4-bed, 3-bath, 2-story. On over a 1/3 acre, cul-de-sac, like it's in a really nice area, and 725 is wicked, well, okay, not wicked, but it's super low. They're moving back to South Carolina, thought they'd be there forever, kind of the same thing with our Syracuse folks. They'll be 625, and that's a 3-bed, 2-bath Rambler, over 3,300 square feet, again, over a 1/3 acre, like back in the quiet secluded, like there's an acre behind them, so it's like just really private, like a 50 by some ridiculous number sunroom, screened in, really like that. Syracuse, I love this, like the area, the house,
What's the square feet on Syracuse?
3346, 3345. or 44 feet.
We'll round up. Always round up. Yes.
We should have 2 going live next week. One is in Foxborough North. 5-bed, 3-bath.
Did I spell that right?
No.
I don't even know what that is. I'm new to skill. Okay, start over, sorry.
5-bed, 3-bath. Just under 2,100 square feet. It is an HOA, but it's a very cheap HOA for what, there's 2 swimming pools and a bunch of other stuff.
That's my thing.
And then the next one is in,
What's your price on that one?
TBD.
Bring your own.
Bring your own price.
$5.
Next one in Layton, 3-bed, 2-bath. Just under 1,800 square feet. And price TBD on that as well.
Okay.
So that one, Salt Lake, 2-bedroom, 1-bath.
Salt Lake.
Bed, 1-bath condo, 255. What we're asking, that'll be live by the end of the
Okay.
So one coming up in Ogden, it's 2,200 square feet, it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, it needs a lot of love and TLC, but it's a corner unit, it could be a great investment. And we're gonna price it at $335.
What part of Ogden?
Near, it's East Grove, 1945 South, 1300 East.
Fresh Market.
And you had another one, a second one?
No,
No? Okay.
I've got one in Layton.
Oh, I forgot to say name, guys, sorry.
No.
It's okay, I'm on there, it's fine.
Alright.
I got all of these new listings.
Alright.
It's a 4-bed, 2-bath. 1,750 square feet.
Ducks negotiable. Wait.
Ducks are
The duck house. Duck house.
It'll be on the
I love the
market
duck
next
house.
week. We'll be photos this week. So it's actually got a pretty cool backyard, so
It is cool.
it's got a really nice patio area, a couple of duck ponds, mallards can be included, like a shipping container back there. Like, it's actually cool. No, there's a couple of sheds, the ducks have their own like ensuite.
Double. It's legit, man. What's the price?
Probably around 430.
Ever noticed that Stephen's are super cute, wicked.
Yes.
North Ogden, we just got a price reduction. This is highest bench, 690. It's 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, brand new construction, 4-car garage. The yard is horrible, but the views are amazing. Super cute view.
6-bed.
5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. 4-car garage.
Is it just back up to the?
Yeah, it's a
mountain that way?
mountain, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What's the price?
From 725 to 690. And then I have a mobile home coming up in Layton. And that should be around 90,000. It's a double wide, got 3 bedrooms.
Slow that rolling. Double wide, sorry,
Say that again.
keep going. Double wide, 3
so
beds?
3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, about 1,300 square feet. Haven't seen it yet, but should be around 90,000. And then there's one coming up in Magna.
Oh, yeah.
No, so,
Do it.
that one is 6 bedrooms. 6 bedrooms.
To the Ritz. You're paying for my trip to the Ritz.
Do it.
I'm happy to. It'll be my pleasure.
I have witnesses.
6 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, it's gonna be around 475. It's a Rambler, 2-car garage, it's newer, about 95 or so, and that's coming up next week. That would be a good investment property as well. That is in mind.
Okay.
Not super cute, but it's.
But it could be. You could
But it
make
could
it,
be.
you could make it super.
In your price.
One in Ogden, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's on Childs Street, you guys know where that is?
Yeah.
It is super cute. The yard is actually, it's an amazing backyard. They've done a lot of work and we're gonna be, about 330 to 340 price range. We just wanna move it, but it's really cute. No, we'll go live, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever it, they'll be completely out this weekend, so. Sweet. Yeah.
Bring the buyers with all these listings.
I know.
Yeah. We're gonna be rich, you guys.
Okay, can I say,
You're amazing.
I have one buyer that's gonna be a little bit different. They can go to 1.1. They can close in December and they need 2 masters on the main. So, and they're pretty much open. They'd like to stay outskirts of Ogden, but other than that, they're open. So, do you have anything with the 2 masters? Newer company?
Okay, Rosie, can I mention a buyer, if anybody has anything coming up in Pleasant View, 1 level, they want at least 3,000 square feet wide level. Your barn one, okay. Will you send it, is it listed now? It's 306 one. Okay. That might be a good option. Anyway, newer, they definitely want something nicer. Budget 7 to 8, and they could potentially look at a 2-story, but master must be on the main, and they only want the. All of them, okay, then. And they'll be in October 2nd.
We have a subdivision coming on, the east side of Ogden.
Corey walks in with a $12 million month, and then Mike drops a subdivision.
Which you gotta do.
Love it.
No, we're trying to get them as low as we can, so we'll start at around 550. And they're literally, if you go up Hudson, everybody knows Ogden. It's go until you hit the mountain, we'll be right on the mountain. They'll go from 550 to 700, so there's different sizes. That'll be about 38. Nice. So that'll be a nice little subdivision.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. Yes, ma'am.
I have a buyer looking for a single level house in Provo. So up to 450. Okay, it's gotta be 1 level, you don't want to do stairs.
Okay. That reminds me, there's a Facebook group that's, I think it's called KW Utah Agents or KW Utah Realtor, something like that. I'll have to look up the exact name. But that's for the whole region of Utah. And so if you've got needs in like Provo or areas where we have other offices, I think that would be a great place for you to post things like that, because that's where all of our agents in Utah can collaborate. So I'll look up the group for that. And then I think you guys should all join it, in case you've got needs like that come up.
And it's
So-
already live, literally, just get your sheets and the team leaders, they can announce it in their team meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, I can let you. Okay. Sweet guys. Awesome. Okay, so we are gonna go over a few announcements and then do some awards, guys, like we're kicking butt right now, we're doing so good. And then we have an amazing guest speaker that's gonna talk to us for the rest of the time. So, let's. Oh my gosh, this Thinking mouse. We know as we're making our calls to do it in a TCPA friendly and compliant way. And we are doing our lead gen day, our next one with the whole office on October 4th. 6th, the Friday, 6th, it's a Friday. So put that in your calendars, if you guys wanna come in, we're gonna have numbers prepared, we're gonna have different contests, different topics to do throughout the day, it's actually a lot of fun. So plan on being here, and
It's
Allison's gonna-
October 6th, 10:30 to 3:30.
Sweet, and I think that's also a great time for you guys to time block for those who are participating in the pumpkin patch. To come and do like your follow-up calls to people who did make it, who didn't make it. It's just a great day to be very intentional about your contacts that you're making. Okay, brokers, you wanna come up? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually had a want need too, but I didn't get to mention it. I have a rental coming available in North Ogden. It's a townhome. Not sure the price, 1,600. And above, maybe.
You know Ashley's looking for a rental
Ashley Sorensen.
personal.
I don't know that, but.
Yeah.
That's been out, they've been in there for a long time, so the rent's so low, so you kind of think what she's moving. Yeah, but that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about FERPTA. Everyone loves FERPTA, right? Everyone knows what FERPTA is. What's FERPTA?
Foreign investment.
Foreign investment,
Say it again.
foreign investor,
Okay, so what does that entail? What does that mean?
confirmation. Citizenship. Proving that they can actually pay for something somewhere else. There's a form, fill out,
There is a form,
there's a disclosure.
right? You guys know the process to do a transaction that involves someone who is a foreigner.
We know who to call.
I do know that if your seller is, and then there could be taxes that they have to pay that would go to the buyer if they didn't pay, right?
Everyone has a look of confusion or they're afraid to look at me, they're looking down. All right, so Ken, what is FERPTA?
Well, it's a tax code actually. Back in '89, I think it was,
Something like that.
a long time ago. The IRS passed a law that said that if there's a foreign person that owns real estate and they owe taxes. And they sell that real estate, the buyer can actually be held liable for those taxes. It's the only tax code in the United States where one person can be held responsible for another person's taxes.
Yep, so think of it as like a 10% tax for a foreigner to own our real estate when they go to sell it. Now, what happens is if that money's not collected, those out of the seller's proceeds, it's basically labeled against the house, right? So now that new buyer, whoever they may be, will now owe that when they go to sell it. So you want to always make sure, right, in our section 7 of the REPSI 7K, I believe is what it is. It says in there that if they're a foreigner, that they have to provide information, which is an addendum. And it says in there that if they're a non-foreigner, that we can request proof that they're a non-foreigner. Do you guys know that? Most people don't know that. I didn't know that till today.
And a check.
Yes, and it's also on the seller disclosures towards the very end. It says if they're a foreigner or not, they check a box, right? So basically the addendum that you would now incorporate into your REPSI, your real estate purchase contract, right? Into your REPSI, it tells the title company to take the taxes out. Is that clear as mud? Everyone got it? Now, there are a handful of exemptions with it, but that's not our responsibility to figure out those exemptions, right? Our thing is to get it, make sure our buyers aren't put with this.
So does the title company, does that check against the house when the title company does its check?
It's not recorded. That's why it's your responsibility as the listing agent to disclose that.
Okay. Okay, sorry, I didn't know. if
It
that-
does also ask in the buyer broker and the exclusive right to sell.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but after several times.
So you should know whether your seller is foreign or not. 'Cause there's a
Right.
question.
Yeah.
Right,
If
I
it's
just
just the way to
know.
sell. Now, they've proved that they're current on their taxes by having their tax preparer sign an IRS document. 8868, I think is the document number, and provide that to the title company, which basically says, it's a third party, their accountant or CPA saying they are current on their taxes, there's no tax owed. Other than that, the withholding needs to happen. I personally, as a compliance broker, had buyers that our agents had sold houses to come to me with a bill from the IRS for $33,000, $73,000 from the IRS because the withholding wasn't taken.
Yeah, it's not an SOI call you wanna be.
No,
having, right?
they're not happy.
No.
Not a-
So, yeah, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is one of our seasoned veterans that I considered a super seasoned agent was asking questions on it. I'm thinking, oh, we probably should talk about this. Just to remind everybody.
Yeah, and I cover that often on Fridays in my compliance. I think I did it last month, something that we bring up quite often so that we can keep fresh on it. So.
It must be approached with care. It must be approached with a certain responsibility on our part. Just because I don't want, if you see Rodriguez on the rep seat,
Like discrimination.
that you're gonna be asking for, you are not an immigration agent. And there are a lot of exceptions, like you say, just even if you don't have the citizenship, even if you don't have the legal residency, there are all these categories that, again, is not your job to know, that people may be excluded from that. So as you go through the transaction, be mindful of that, reach out, ask for help if you need. The last thing you want is somebody to sue you for discrimination because Ahmed or Rodriguez is selling the house to buyers. So that's just a little parenthesis so you're aware.
Yeah,
That's good.
anything else you want to add?
No, not to that.
Okay.
I wanted to mention that we are really close on our mobile home contract. We told you a while ago that we've been working on a mobile home contract. We're gonna try to roll that out next Tuesday, in this meeting. Does that work for everybody?
Very nice.
Already got it.
Thanks. What's that?
Already got it in the contracts, I don't need it.
Yeah, I don't need
Ken has been working his butt off
So-
on this, so.
Anyway, I appreciate that, but it's ran through legal, had run through a process. And so we're really close now to publishing that. So I think what we'll do is we'll send it out in advance of Tuesday's meeting to everybody in an email. So you can look it over. We want your feedback. We want changes. We want it to work for everybody. And so your input is requested on that, so that we get a document that everybody feels good with.
Is that at KW or division or?
It's us here. We voted. So the division, just so you guys are aware, the division has said, hey, we're not gonna. We don't support, we know it's a housing thing, but because it's not considered real property. It's not gonna be on us. So UAR is kind of going with the division, says we're not gonna provide a document. So what started happening was, I don't know, every large brokerage started doing their own, so it became like the wild west out there. So one of the biggest changes the division made was we cannot hold earnest money in our trust account for mobile homes. Now, with that being said, who holds those monies? Title won't hold them because there's no title. Right, so now we're like, okay, we gotta create a document that works for everybody. So what we did is the brokers gathered from all the other, not all of them, but a lot of the brokerages that we know. Send us theirs, and we went through all of them, and then Ken made a hybrid, and then we ran through our legal team. In order to come up with the one we have, so it's gone through the paces already, so. We're actually excited to have it.
We can't hold it.
Preference would be to the seller. And the document directs that, and there's a worksheet, there's a settlement worksheet that itemizes all of the costs, and that says deposit held by the seller.
But we'll go over that next week, so.
Okay, so prorated lot rents, right?
What's that?
Prorated lot rent.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see you next week then.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys. We'll give it
Amazing brokers. Okay, just a reminder, Kylie is now taking virtual tech appointments every Monday and Thursday. Quick, overview of our classes we have coming up. Ignite starts tonight. I'm so excited. We've got a pretty good, list, but Ken and I are launching it tonight. And then you're teaching on Wednesday, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesse and
So it's
Kaylee,
gonna
right?
be
You guys-
awesome.
It'll be the last time you see that bump probably, so you guys. should-
That's the fastest appointment ever.
I know.
So and then real quick, tomorrow we have been advertising that we have an open houses marketing class. But that is overlapping Kimber's class that's serving as a follow-up from the team meeting that she did last week. So we're canceling the open house class. We're gonna reschedule it to next month. And we're going to be doing just Kimber's class. We will be putting it up here on the screen, but it will be via Zoom, so you can access it anywhere you want. But if you went to Kimber's class, if you want to see how you can automate all of your smart plans to convert your leads, this is an awesome class. And she's already set it up for you. It's just a matter of knowing where to go and how to activate it, right?
And we're doing that in place of coaching tomorrow as well.
Okay.
Because it overlaps.
And does that not overlap the more?
No, more clubs at 2:30.
This is only an hour, right?
It's only an hour.
Kimber's.
11 o'clock. 11 o'clock tomorrow, Kimber's class. And then on Friday, our amazing Kenneth. That's not his name. I just called him Kenneth. Mine's Ken, lease with option to buy. So come those compliance classes as well. Okay. I'm gonna skip over all this because we're running a little bit short on time, but save the date for our big annual business planning clinic on November 2nd. Okay, let's do awards real quick. And then we'll get going to the good stuff. I'm so excited. Okay, so our cappers for August, we had David, Christy Nelson, Kaylee, Jonathan, and Mark Smith. But Mish, I owe you a hat too. Did everybody get their hats? You two have a hat from last month. So let me know if you didn't get one. Okay, and then we have our first closings, and again, these are the first closings while they've been here at Keller Williams, not necessarily just their first closings ever. So we have Allison Tomei and Tristan Hamlin. And top listed unit, these are our big ballers, guys. We have Sherry Johnson. And then Bagley Real Estate. We have Cash Home Realty, we have Corey Bordner, William Brett Real Estate.
You have to come get your too.
Yeah, it's gonna
You have
appear
to come
Corey.
get your little certificate.
What's that?
You have to come get your little certificate.
While you're going through those, can I make an announcement for Pumpkin Patch?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Pumpkin Patch next Wednesday, tickets will be ready by Friday. It's your guys' responsibility to pick them up. None of leadership team or me will be transporting wristbands, so make sure you pick them up by Friday. That's all. You're welcome.
How soon are you ready? Like, are you hungry?
They're not ready today, so they'll be ready by Friday. Mhm. Yep.
And you can give them out to your clients.
Good job, Lori.
You can wait for the event and then, if they don't show up.
Finally.
Okay, top closed units, we have Mikkel Hill, Tennille Ridgway, Diane Albrechtson, Wade Hayman, get it up here, big boy. Kevin Ivins, Christine Rochu, and Ken Averett. Teams, we have Larson Realty Group, the Amarillo Realty Group, get on up here. It's a 15. And then Bagley Real Estate. Get up here. You're amazing. And groups, we have Cash Home Realty, we have Corey Burner team again. Julie Real Estate and the Christina F team. Congrats, guys. so proud of you guys. What market shift? I don't know market shift. We're just moving with it. Right.
We are shifting the market.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are the trailblazers. I like it. Okay, $1 million a month. This means that overall, we had over $1 million in volume total. And like, look at this list. It's amazing. Between listings, closings, and contracts we're in. So our individuals, we have Mikkel, we have Diane, Tanil, Rochelle Tracy, Kevin Ivins, Ken Averett, Wade Gayman, Gary Bonds, Marcia Merrill, Cole Johnson, and Claudia Little. And then, our teams, Larson Realty Group, we have Bagby Real Estate, is the fifth thing, and Amarillo Realty. What's that banner? We gotta get pictures of all of you guys. Let's get up the banner and get pictures. And group, we have the Bernard team again, Cash Home Realty, Christina Egg, Julian Brett Real Estate, and Skyline. Everybody got their stuff? Bring it on here.
Thank you.
Hey, awesome. You wanna talk about launch coaching real quick?
Yeah, we're actually up to 32 people, 12 people have been in production though, like from coaching. So that's
From
and we have 4 under contract right now in September. In coaching groups, so it's going pretty good. Lots of trainings. What else do you want me to say? So if anybody wants to join or if anybody has questions about it, let me know.
Yep, and Allison's kind of created like a tiered program now.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not just for new agents.
Right, yep, so we have a tiered program now, so, if you wanted to join and you're not a new agent, we have like a high level accountability group with some just higher level conversations as well.
I think, with the market right now, we're obviously playing red light, green light. We're looking at our expenses and and I think it's spending a lot on, coaching when it's an upfront cost. It's kind of a tough thing for some people to do right now.
And coaching,
Um,
the split stays at the 70-30, your split doesn't change to
Yeah.
coaching.
Yeah, so with this coaching program, you're not paying anything upfront. You only pay when you close something, which I think is amazing. And we've also worked it out to where the splits aren't more, the splits stay the same. What we do with the money on the back end is what's different. So it still remains the same. So it's been a really, really great win all around. So.
And then the other thing too, if you guys know agents that are struggling at other offices, like that aren't getting the resources or the training or the community that we've created in coaching, like have them come give it a try and see if they would want to join under you for. One, that helps them first, right? Like win-win, but 2, then you can add it to your profit share. So it really
Awesome, you're amazing. Kudos, Allison's doing amazing. So, okay, on that note, Allison, stay up here. So our guest, our amazing guest that we have up here, was actually coordinated through Allison.
I've been friends with Christy for a long time.
Yeah. But
Let's pull together.
I think with the market shift or like things changing, like wealth planning and investing has been a really, really big topic of conversation, you know. And with us agents, like we can get lots of money really fast, but if we're making money, if we're having all this commission coming in, what are we doing with it, right? What are our money roles? How are we reinvesting it and creating wealth for ourselves? So when there are ups and downs in the market, you've got a backup plan. This is exactly why I wanted to bring her here. So I'll let Allison introduce her.
Yeah, and we've done, Christy and I have done some together too that are pretty unique that, on 1031 exchanges on ways you can do 1031 exchanges in a way that I had never heard of. Yeah, so pretty awesome, but this is my friend Christy, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, and I think that this is really exciting. I do have a lot of my clients who are asking me about not just investment markets, but real estate markets as well. And so I can go back to them now and tell them all the excitement and business that you all are doing. So this just gives kind of a little brief overview. I have a few things that we can talk about today. An introduction for me. So I ran a couple of food and beverage businesses with my brother for about 15 years. And then I decided after having my second child, I was going to be a stay-at-home parent, and props to any stay-at-home parent. By far the hardest job with no pay, that I have ever chosen to do. So after about 6 months, I called up one of my friends who was a financial planner and said, hey, do you have anything for me to do? Started working part-time and really liked the business. And so I became licensed. And then as he was transitioning into his retirement, we merged with Synergy Financial, the firm that I'm with now. There are 3 of us who are partners. We each have our own clients, books of business like you all do. And then we work together, just kind of like in this fashion where we bounce ideas off of each other. We all kind of have our little niches. So if someone comes up with a client who maybe doesn't fit one of us, it goes to another. Just a really great working environment like you have here as well. So some of the things that we can talk about are, Allison mentioned that her and I had the opportunity to go to a luncheon and learn about a different type of 1031 exchange that's not into real property. We can talk about that. We can talk about markets and economic overview as a whole, and then for you all, how to plan and invest for your own futures. So anyone have a preference on where we start? I don't know how much time we have, so. Okay. Okay. So, maybe kind of one of the first questions is when to call a financial planner. And so with my business and I'm meeting with clients, whether it's a new client or an ongoing client that I've had for years, anytime that they bring up the sell of a property or even, some sort of rental business that they're going into, my first question to them is, do you have a real estate agent who you work with? And if not, I have one who I can recommend. And the reason for that is that as people are making these decisions, a lot of times they're talking to their friends, they're reading on the internet, they have these ideas of what they want to do, but a lot of times they don't have all the details. And so that kind of goes the same way with financial planning. Anytime that somebody is, even if they're really not coming into money, if they're just working, you all are working, you're self-employed, I'm also self-employed, we can have to look out for ourselves, there's no one out there to do it, there's not a big company that is setting up these 401ks or pensions for us. So any time is the perfect time to call a financial planner. And you can, as you're working with these clients, whether they are doing a 1031 exchange, whether they are buying investment rental properties, we work very closely with real estate agents. We work with attorneys for estate planning. We work with CPAs and accountants for tax planning. So it's always a good idea to have all of the information up front before making any sort of decision. I'm sure that you all in your careers or from other people have seen right at the last minute something go wrong with a capital gain or some sort of a property that they were moving into, and then the timing's gone and they can't do that. So it's always great to have the information. I'll just touch on the 1031 exchange. So the company that Allison and I joined for lunch was Inland. And there's a couple of different companies out there. They do 1031 exchanges. They do it into what's called a DST, which is a Delaware Statutory Trust. And the way that that works is, I'm sure that you as agents have had buyers or sellers who are selling either their residential properties or their investment properties, and then they are 1031ing into other properties. And so you have a couple of different things that you're lining up. If you have a $500,000 property, you're selling that, you have a $2.5 million loan on that. Maybe at this point in time, because of interest rates, you can't get a new loan at $2.5 million. So then you're not able to really 1031 into another property for the full amount. The other thing is that maybe you have a $2 million property and you're going to buy a property that is worth 1.7 million. What do you do with the other 300,000? So a DST is a group of underlying properties. It works just like a 1031 exchange. There's no actual physical owning of the properties, so they are considered more liquid. They're not something that you can move in and out of in a couple of weeks' time. There is timing on them, but it is much more liquid than an actual physical property. And the other thing is it's diversified. So
sorry.
that just picked me up. So instead of just owning one property, whether it's an apartment or a rental home or, you know, whatever else is out there, you would be owning different, the underlying properties would be different types of properties. And those range anywhere from, hotels, apartments,
It was like medical office.
yeah, medical office buildings, commercial properties. So they have different listings all the time. The timing on the underlying properties vary. So some of them they'll hold for a couple of years, some of them longer, some of them shorter. So it just kind of depends on what they have available. So where the DSTs come in is if you have someone who, I have a client who recently just sold out 3 rental properties. She didn't want to rent anymore. She's older. She wants to be done with it. Her kids have no interest in taking over the business. So for her, moving into a 1031 where she can still collect income on a monthly basis, she doesn't have any of the management responsibilities. All she has to do is just keep the money in the DSTs, get the income. You know, the income varies based on the interest rates that the inland is collecting at the time. And then each time that a property or a DST comes up for renewal, then at that point in time, they're just going back in and they call it, you know, swap until you drop. And what that means is that it can be continually invested into these DSTs until my client passes away. And then at that point in time, they get step up in basis and then it can go to their beneficiaries. They can take that out, they can continue on in the DST, however they choose to do that. So it is a pretty interesting option for 1031 exchanges. The other nice thing is the inland does all the paperwork and does all of the legwork. So all you really have to do is connect your clients with someone like me and inland, and then we do all of that side of it. So you guys get to offer this to your clients and it's no additional work to you.
But a financial planner has to sell the DSTs.
Yes.
We can't sell them.
Yes, it has to be sold by someone who is securities licensed. Let's see, so then, you know, as far as market and the economy overview overall, again, I'm really excited to see all of these properties and hear about your buyers who are out there. Our businesses do kind of go hand in hand where it's really kind of nice in a way that we have interest rates back up to more normal levels, but we've all felt that over the last year and a half. Here in Utah, it seems like we have been a little bit more resilient in the housing market at least. But we've all felt it in any sort of fashion, whether we're buying and selling a home, buying and selling a vehicle. We're earning more in the banks, but we're definitely paying more on the interest end. Obviously that's slowing things down for you guys because people who have interest rates that are 3% and lower are a little bit more hesitant to sell and maybe buy something in at 7%. So, you know, the good news is that it seems like we are at the top of the Fed's tightening, meaning that they have paused at this point in time. To continue raising interest rates is probably unlikely at this point in time. So they did come out last week and told us that inflation still isn't where they want it. We do still have a very, very strong job market, which kind of goes against everything else that we have pointing towards recession in the economy. So as long as our job market stays, as long as our unemployment stays low, the feds will likely keep interest rates where they are, or even continue to raise if they don't see the inflation numbers go down like they want. The good news, I think, for all of us is that we are kind of on the top of that tiering, if we do go into recession, it's still very normal. I don't know how long everyone in here has been in the real estate business, but, real estate cycles go along with investment market cycles. So we know that they're ups and downs, just kind of ride the wave. Some are more fun than others. But the, the realistic part of that is that we know markets are gonna come back up. We just don't know when that's gonna happen. So as far as investments go over the past, pretty much this year, has been much better. We have had some recovery over the past couple of weeks. We have had a little bit more volatility. So as far as markets, go, things that cause volatility are just pricing and uncertainty. So when we have uncertainty out there, it doesn't matter if that is over something like a war in Ukraine or housing markets or unemployment, whatever that is. Today, things that are adding to that uncertainty are the government shutdown, that if we don't come to some sort of an agreement by the 1st of August, October, we could face government shutdown. It's not the end of the world. We've had that happen before. However, there is quite a bit of fallout if that does happen. We do have Moody's, who has already downgraded the US and looking to see if we don't come to an agreement on that government shutdown. We could be downgraded, which again is not the end of the world, but it does not fare well for markets overall. Recession is still very likely at this point in time. Again, very normal. We do go into recession. I would imagine that probably hurts the housing market at least as much as it hurts financial markets. The good news with financial markets is that normally we recover before the economy starts to recover. So stock markets are kind of a leading indicator and showing us what's to come. That's why we saw markets going down before we really started to see the economy slow because of inflation and all of that. Obviously, oil prices are driving energy up. They've gone from less than $70 a barrel to $90 a barrel. So that's going to keep prices up for quite some time. If we do go into recession again, a lot of the prices are going to go down. Just have to wait and see. So as far as let me just pause there for a minute. Anyone have questions on markets or the economy as a whole, or the 1031 DST?
A question on the 1031. And maybe I missed them, sorry. What's the rate of return on?
So it varies. I don't know that they really give us a I think that they gave us an actual rate of return. It just depends on the underlying property.
They had their averages, but you get to choose the property you're investing in. Yeah, not them. So you get to see all the rates and then decide, but you've got to be buying into a property that's for sale or that's buy-inable at that moment.
And it's not something that's guaranteed. So it's not like going out and saying, okay, we're gonna buy this property and we're gonna get a 4% return. They're gonna say, hey, our
because it's still real estate.
Yes. Our expectation is that our return on this property will be at least 3%, but it could be less than that, it could be more than that. So it just kind of depends on, like Allison said, what they have available to buy into. They have new investments that are coming up all the time. They do a lot of their due diligence on the underlying properties, so they have not had anything like back in the day of when REITs were really so big in 2007, and a lot of those REITs have the markets that they were invested in fall out from underneath them, and then those REITs were frozen. The way that they presented it to us is that if they're going to buy into a property, that even if it doesn't go into one of their DSTs, that they're still buying it as an investment property. So it's something that they've had 100% success with on the underlying properties. Obviously there's no guarantees with that.
There was like one story where they had hiccups
Cause they bought a hotel like right before COVID had hit, they bought a hotel in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And so the people didn't get payout for like 18 months or something.
Yes, it was
then-
more of a timing issue,
Mhm.
where instead of it being a 9-month investment, it was, you know, a couple of years. So the timing factor of that can change. But, you know, as far as being diversified, I mean, same thing if you're gonna go out and today, obviously, if you have some sort of rental property, then I mean, who doesn't want that today? But who knows where things will be in 5 years or 10 years, you know, with all the apartments that we're building and wherever people are living and you know, how markets go. So, I can get you some more information on what their average returns are, if you'd like.
I'm just curious on what the average returns are, and then also what the cost of administering a program like that is. Obviously, if they're managing it, there's management fees, so that takes. some out of
Yes.
that.
They do have management fees, and I don't think that I brought. I can find out.
Versus the website.
So because it's not something that, you could just go out and buy, then it has to be something that is, client approved. So I can get the information, we can verbally talk about it, or I can email it to you, but they do have a piece that's printed, which I would bet that they probably don't, because their returns are gonna be changing all the time. They will have something though that says what their underlying average fee is. So speaking of that, I do have a little card on here. If you guys can fill this out, if you don't want to be contacted by our office, we will not bug you. But for compliance reasons, we have a list of everyone that was here today. So if you can fill this out, if you have any questions or want information, then you can write them on here, or just let me know, and then I can email that to you and follow up with you on that. The other piece that is on here is this pamphlet. This just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of how our firm works. So if you were to go and talk to an investment person, a lot of people at their credit union, they get approached by the person who is at the credit union's and you can talk to them. So there's a difference between an investment advisor and a financial planner. The difference is that if you go to E-Trade and you say, hey, you know, I've got $10,000 to invest, what are some good options? And they're gonna say, okay, well, you can invest in Apple, you can invest in a mutual fund, and then they're gonna tell you how to place a trade. And if you go to a place like Fidelity, Fidelity has great funds, but you're gonna get Fidelity products. So the difference with our firm is that we are independent. And what that means is that instead of being linked to a company like Fidelity or even an Edward Jones that has limited funds, we can use whatever we want. We don't have quotas, we don't have products that we are supposed to sell. So if a client comes in and needs XYZ, then we can go out and find those products. If another client comes in, which usually happens, and they have completely different needs, again, we can go out and find whatever it is that their needs. So that's one thing that working independent really is a benefit for that. And then our process here is a little bit different as well. We do have an expectation for our clients. And what that means is that we're gonna initially meet, we're gonna share information, we're gonna come up with a strategy, and anything that we come up with as far as recommendations are in writing, so there is no confusion of what's what. And then any of those recommendations can be taken in and implemented or not. And then what we request from our clients is just to have an ongoing annual conversation, just even if it's 10-15 minutes to say, hey, yeah, I changed jobs, I had a baby, everything's the same. Whatever it is, a lot can change in a year. And as far as financial goals, when we're 20, we have very different financial goals than when we're 60. So it's important for us to figure out what those goals are, and as those goals continue to change, that we go through that process to make sure that everything is in alignment. As we're going through, we are fitting all of the pieces of that puzzle. So we are making sure that if someone has children, that they are applying for education, same with grandchildren. If someone is in their 20s, they have, again, much different financial needs and access than someone who is in their 60s. So, you know, planning for either retirement, planning to build up cash to buy their first home, to buy investment properties, whatever that looks like. It's very different across the board. And then, so for you all, Allison and I kind of had a conversation. It sounds like most of you have your businesses set up as being self-employed, or having, you know, maybe an assistant or a couple of different people. So that makes retirement planning a little bit different than if we were working for Home Depot and we have access to their 401k plan. So you have a couple of different options. One would just be to open up an investment account, whether that is an IRA, which could be pre-tax or not, or just an after-tax account. You know, there's lots of options there. If you open up an IRA, there are pretty low limits on what you can invest, you know, about $6,000 or $7,000 depending on your age. And we also have what's called a SEP plan. So if you have a 401k plan, there are such thing as a solo K plan, and those work really well. However, there is a lot of compliance on the back end. So a SEP plan works really nice, and it's very simple to put into place. The only catch is that if you have an employee, whatever you do for yourself, you do for your employee. So if you don't have any employees, or if your employee is your spouse or a family member or someone that you just really love, then a SEP plan works great. And the maximum contribution amounts on a SEP plan are pretty nice. What you do is you contribute both as an employee and as an employer. So on the employee side, for this year, you could contribute up to $22,500. And then the employer can contribute either 25% of your compensation or 66,000, whichever is lesser. So if you are self-employed, you have no employees, you set this up, you want to max it out, you can basically max out at 88,500. So if you have that option, the SEP plan is really great. If you have employees who maybe are not your spouse, and maybe you love them, but you're not financially able to do everything for them that you want to do for yourself. And we have something called a simple plan. And when I say we, you know, this is from the IRS, it's not just me, but a simple IRA plan is just like what it sounds like. It's very simple. So the rules can be as lenient as you want them to be, but they can only be as stringent as an employee who has received at least $5,000 in compensation in any 2 prior years, and then expects to have $5,000 in the current year. So if you have someone who's making $4,000, they don't, unless you say, yeah, we're not going to have any sort of rules and everybody can be in on it. So this is just a really good plan. You can contribute more for yourself, but you've also, it can be a good can be a benefit if you're looking for an assistant or another advisor, another agent under you to come in to say, hey, you know what, we do offer a simple IRA plan, and that might be something that they're not going to get working for another office. And
Question on the SEP plan, Is there a distinction with employee versus, between a W-2 and a 1099 employee?
You know, I'm not sure on that. I don't think it matters. So most of business owners are getting 1099s, but if you are actually getting a W-2, but you're the only person employed, then I don't think it makes a difference, but I can check on that with you.
I was curious about you, well, if you're employing somebody, are they considered an employee if they're a 1099 versus?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I have an employee who is my assistant and she actually does not work under my LLC. She works under the financial, but she's still, according to the IRS, my employee. So I could set up a step plan and say, well, she's not technically my employee. She's an employee of Synergy. But I can guarantee that if the IRS ever came and audited me, I would lose that argument. So I choose not to go there with it. We have a simple IRA plan set up for ourselves and all of our employees. And, you know, I have clients that it's my job to give the information and tell them what the rules are. It's up to them and their CPA on what rules they choose to take into consideration or not. So I do have clients who I know have other employees. They do a set plan, like, hey, just so you know, you have to do this for your employees. You're doing that, right? Yep, we are. Okay, great. So that's not my job. So, but I don't think it matters as far as the IRS goes. So with the simple plan, you can set it up in two different ways. You can either match up to 3%. So if your employee decides that they don't want to participate, you don't pay anything for them. If they participate up to 3% of their costs, you just match that. And then the other way is that you can set it up so that you just do a straight 2% non-elective. So that means that the employee can contribute additionally, but your contribution as an employer would be 2% no matter what. So whether they are going to contribute nothing or 10%, you are contributing 2% no matter what. And that again can be changed at any time. Any questions additionally on either the SEP or the simple plan? Yeah. Okay. So any other questions that you might have that we haven't talked about as far as, you know, finances go or anything else? I'm not an economist by any means, but I'm happy to either answer a question if I can, or if not, research, get back to you.
The real estate answer, you guys.
If
I don't know, I'll find out.
Right, yes, I know, I was listening to, you know, everything in the beginning of the meeting, and there, I already know that there's so many similarities between what you all do and what I do, and I feel like our goal out there is to just assist our clients do something that they're already gonna do, and they can either do it on their own, and maybe it works out, maybe not, or they can do it with us, really great support, and we know that we can be successful. So that's our job, and, you know, hopefully we do it together. Well, I will be around, I don't know. But anything else?
Do you guys have any questions for her? Are you guys contributing out of each paycheck to your retirement, out of each closing?
And it's really easy to set something aside. And like I said, even if you're just putting into an IRA, does everyone know how an IRA works? Does anyone know how an IRA works? Sort of. Okay, so there's two different types of IRAs. One is a traditional, and that means that if I put in $6,000, then when I file my taxes, I say, hey, I contribute $6,000, and then I get to take that off of my income that I pay. Okay, so if I put in $6,000 every single year, that's all considered tax deferred. I can invest in whatever I want within the IRA. And then when I take that money out during retirement, I at that point in time pay taxes on it. So the goal there would be to defer taxes today. Hopefully today, we're in a higher tax bracket than we will be in retirement, and then when we take money out in retirement, we either pay little or no. Yeah, go ahead.
What is the inheritance of that?
So currently, under the current tax law, which has been changed a couple of times since Secure Act came out, you now have to start collecting on that at age 73. It's set to go up to age 75. Used to start at 70 and a half. The way that it works is that if you get to that age where you have to start taking required distributions, if you start taking them during your lifetime, then your beneficiary that you leave that to, if you leave it to a spouse, it's theirs, just like it was theirs from the beginning. If you leave it to a child or someone else, then they have a 10-year time period to take that money out, again, under current tax law. If you don't start taking money out before you decease, then same thing, it goes on to your spouse like it was theirs. If you leave it to a child, then they still have 10 years, but they don't have to continue taking distributions out till the end of the 10 year. So that was kind of a big change under Trump and Secure Act, that we used to be able to stretch that out over our lifetime. So imagine in your careers today, and you have a really great year, and then you also have to take out possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars as a big tax hit. So the 10-year plan really did change things big time on the planning side of it. So the other type of IRA is a Roth IRA, and that one, again, it has the same limitations. If you put your $6,000 in, you pay taxes on it today, and then you don't pay any taxes on it on any of the gains. So if you put $10,000 in, and when you retire, it's worth $100,000, you have $90,000 tax free. You also, under current tax law, do not have to take required distributions out of it. Once you decease, whoever your beneficiaries are, do have to begin taking distributions on that. But for you, not a tax benefit today, tax benefit later on in life. So normally we kind of use both of them. If you can set up a SEP or a simple or a traditional IRA for tax deferral, and then also do a Roth. The key is, if you have a traditional and a Roth IRA, you can't contribute more than the maximum amount to both of them. So if it's $7,000 for the year, you can only contribute $7,000 total. You can't do 7,000 and 7,000. Questions there?
You switch one IRA to the Roth IRA.
What's that?
You switch from IRA to Roth IRA.
You can switch from an IRA to a Roth IRA, but you have to pay the taxes on that. So if you take out, you take out $10,000, you have to pay $10,000 taxes on $10,000, and then move to your Roth. So there are conversions that you could do, and again, normally it makes sense a lot of times during retirement if your income is lower, and then we can convert part of a tax deferred account to a Roth IRA up to a certain level so that you aren't responsible for taxes. But that usually doesn't come into play unless you're either not working or you're retired and have lower income. So that's something that, and I get asked all the time, because of course we've all heard the radio ads, or oh, you should just, burn it all to Roth. You don't pay taxes and all the things, but
They don't explain the whole thing.
they don't explain it, and it's just not possible. The IRS is gonna get their money. So the only way that we can do it is to do it, like I said, if we, if you wanna pay the taxes on it, or if we have lower income, and we can take advantage of a small amount at a time. So we haven't done that for quite a few clients, but again, it's not high income earning clients. There is also a maximum earnings that you phase out. It's pretty high, especially if you, file married. jointly, then it's a high level, but once you get into, making a couple $100,000 plus, it does start to phase out for the benefit. And once you're making all that money and then getting free tax-free money in your retirement too. Anything else?
I think too, it's good to have a resource like Christy and a CPA and a real estate attorney. And then a realtor like in your tool belt to help your clients with questions, cause I have to call her and say, I don't know, like, should they, like, they're gonna take this hit for selling now, like, what are some ways we could help with that?
Yeah, and that's like what I was talking about at the beginning, where, when does someone get in contact with an agent? When does someone get in contact with a planner? Before they make the decision, because a lot of times I have clients all the time that, we've talked about it for years, and then they'll come into my office and say, yeah, well, I ended up selling that rental property. I'm like, okay, well, now you're gonna pay the capital gains. Remember, we talked about this. Oh, I forgot about it. So just, talking to your clients again and again and again, and reminding them that, hey, remember when you go to sell this property that we're gonna work with an agent who is gonna, get you your best price and make the process easy, and we're gonna make sure that we, limit or make sure that you don't pay any capital gains on that. I mean, these are all big things that sometimes people just don't think about, and especially as we're kind of having this wealth transfer from the baby boomers to the next generation. We have a lot of people who are coming into money and who really just don't know what to do with it. So same thing, they're talking to their buddies and like, oh, well, I'm gonna go out buy a house. Well, I have a 20-year-old client, female, who is not married and doesn't have any family here, and she's talking about going out and buying an apartment complex to manage. And it's like, hey, why don't you talk to somebody who knows about this to see what you're really getting into? Because to me, that sounds like a lot of work. So, just knowing what people are getting into before they pull the trigger and it's too late to do something at that point. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you all listening to me. Like I said, if you can just fill out the paper for compliance, and then if you don't want us to contact you, we will not at all. Did include my card as well, so if you ever have any questions, shoot me an email, give me a call, and I'm here to answer anything, work with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, grab some food. It's on us. It's on the house, guys. We have pizza today. Thanks for coming. You guys are amazing. I'm gonna appreciate you.